Once again, for media members on the line, if you have questions for the coaches here today, just use the chat feature or the raise your hand icon. We're now pleased to be joined on the call by the head coach at Monmouth, Kevin Callahan. Good morning, Coach Cal.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
I'm well. I hope you are too. Tough back and forth game against FBS member Charlotte. Neither team leads by more than 7 all night long, but you guys come up a little short, 42-35. Just give me your impressions on the game. Do you feel like that's one that you guys could have had?
Well, I do. And, one of our goals going into the game this week was to get off to a faster start. If you remember the first 2 weeks of the season, we've kind of gotten off to a slow start and had to come storming back in the second half. And, I think, we did that to a certain extent. Defensively, we were better at getting off the field in the first half than we had been in either of weeks one or weeks two. We forced 3 first half turnovers, allowed 1 touchdown. And, so we were happy with that part of it. Offensively, we lacked the consistency that we would like to see. And, part of that's due to Charlotte as well. As an FBS team, they've got tremendous athleticism and, we weren't able to overcome that all the time, but we were able to find the end zone twice. We took a 14-7 lead into the halftime. And then the second half turned into a game where really neither team could stop the other team. Both teams were going up and down the field and ending in the end zone. And, we ended up losing by a touchdown, 35-42. We had the ball in our possession for one last ditch drive, but we just weren't able to convert it and move it into the end zone. But, can't say enough about the day that Derek Robertson had another great day on his part. Completed close to 75% of his passes, 36 of 49, 410 yards, 4 touchdowns. Josh Derry, our receiver, had another very good game with 7 receptions for over 100 yards. And, the receiver group as a whole, I think there was 5 or 6 of them that all contributed and had big days for us. So that was a big part of what we did. And as I said, from a defensive standpoint, I thought we played an excellent first half. We just got to be able to sustain that as we get into the second half. And like I said earlier, part of that was due to Charlotte and their game plan as well. But very happy with what Deuce Lee did from the safety position with, I believe it was 11 tackles. Josiah Graham continues to be a disruptive force up front. So we've just got to continue to improve on the defensive side of the ball, get to become more consistent on the offensive side of the ball, particularly early in the game. And I think we'll be where we need to be.
You guys were playing your third straight on the road, and when you match up the way you were able to do with an FBS opponent, what do you learn about your team from that type of result?
Well, I've learned that our team is a very close-knit, tight group. They genuinely like each other. They like hanging out with each other. And, after being on the road for 3 straight weeks and all 3 night games, you spend a lot of time in hotels on Saturday afternoon with your team together and just observing them interact with each other. It's very obvious that they've got a special bond, a special relationship. And I think that's going to pay dividends down the road.
We've talked about that, or you've talked about the last couple of weeks when we've had Gavin and Josh Jerry and TJ Spade having the big weeks offensively, and you said, "Hey, wait, there's more. We've got other guys that you liked, and those guys showed up some." Josh had the big game, as you mentioned, but Maxwell James with 6 catches, Trey Neal with 5. Just talk about those guys' effort and just the depth of your group.
Well, it's like you said, Rob, it's a very deep group. I think there's 5 to 6 guys that we can play, and they're all somewhat interchangeable. Technically, Derry and Spate do play the same position, but we can move them. They can both be on the field at the same time, and that's not an issue for us. It's a very unselfish group. They celebrate each other's success more than their own personal successes, and it's just great to see that group as a whole, that position group, that room, do such a great job, game after game. Just a great bunch of guys to have on the squad.
And you mentioned Derek. We've talked about him many times, but he got a little more pressure probably than he's seen. He was sacked 4 times, but to be able to stand there and have the completion percentage that he was, and it looked like they were able to take away some of your running game. The numbers weren't what they had been over the first couple of weeks. Just how impressive was he to be able to stand back there and still deliver with some heat?
Well, as you said, you've got an FBS opponent, and they can get up the field and they can get after them. And once they were able to kind of get our running game under control, they were able to pin their ears back and come after Derek a little bit. But I can tell you what, he's a really gutsy performer. He stands in the pocket, he delivers the ball. Yes, they got to him a couple times and were able to sack him, but there was other times he took some pretty good hits just as he was releasing the ball. And he's just got an awareness about him and a toughness about him that, let's just say, I'm glad he's on our team.
Right here with I'm the head coach, Kevin Callahan. If you have a question for him this morning, just use the chat feature or raise your hand icon. You touched on your defense, 3 turnovers that you're able to force in the first half, an impressive number. But Charlotte comes back and scores on all 5 of its possessions. What were they able to, the adjustments they were able to make on you there in the second half?
Well, they hit a couple big plays over the top, and anytime you coach defense, that's the kind of the thing that you have to avoid. And we didn't do a good enough job avoiding that. They had 2 big plays over the top in the past game that ended up in touchdowns, and they did a really good job on third downs. And that's something that we've got to be able to get off the field better on third down. But their conversion percentage was extremely high. They were able to keep the chains moving, maintain possession of the ball. And anytime you're going up against the caliber of a team that has superior athletes or great athletes, you've got to be right on in everything that you do, and you can't keep giving them additional chances. I felt we gave them too many additional chances on Saturday night.
Let's look ahead to Saturday, your conference opener against a quality program in Villanova. As you've started to take a look at them, what are some of the challenges that they're going to present for you?
Well, Villanova is a very familiar opponent. It's a team that we've played. I think, this is the 4th time playing them. We know they're a nationally ranked team. I think top 11 a week ago. They're coming into the game 1-on-1 and 1-1, and they've got a victory in the season opener over Colgate, which is a team that we're familiar with as we opened with them also. And then you've got the Penn State game last week, and honestly, you've really got to take the Penn State game and kind of throw that out in terms of the score. You can't really look at what they did. You got to look at how they did certain things and what they were trying to accomplish in the game, and hopefully you can take some things away from that. The Colgate game, they played a very, very good game on both sides of the ball. They're very tough. They're aggressive, and the thing that strikes me about Villanova is they're an extremely veteran team. They've been able to add a fair number of graduate students to their lineup. I think they've got 6 on offense that are starting. Combine that with their other seniors and redshirt juniors. It's a veteran unit on that side of the ball. And then on the defensive side, they've got some impressive talent there. The linebackers, they've got a group of linebackers that are very, very good, led by number 31, who I believe is their leading tackler. The defensive line is a very big, strong group, and they're athletic in the back end. So, we know we're going to have to play a great game. We've had nothing but knockdown, drag out games with them over the last 3 times that we've played them now.
Some familiar, as you said, familiar faces from that Villanova offense, especially the running backs, but a new quarterback and Pat McQuaid, one of those transfers that you're speaking of. What impresses you when you've taken a look at him?
Well, he's very smart. He delivers the ball on time. He knows where he's going with it. He doesn't really put the ball in dangerous spots. It appears that he throws a ball that's very easy to catch. He's got a strong arm, but he's got a very quick release with it as well. And I think that's why his percentage is so high. Now, they did use 2 quarterbacks in the Penn State game. I don't know if that was by design going into it, or it was because maybe one of the guys got dinged up a little bit. But they did play 2 quarterbacks with, as you said, McGuire and also number 3 coming into the game. So that's something that we've got to try to figure out what's going on. The running back position is one that's very strong and deep. We're familiar with both those guys, Abbott and Ragland. We've played against them in previous years. Both extremely talented and capable of breaking the game open at any time.
Before I let you go, after 3 weeks on the road, how nice for your guys to finally be able to run out of their home locker room on Saturday.
I hope we know where our locker room is and where our field is from the locker room. It seems like, and we have been on the road for the entire first month of the season. So it will be good to get home and have some of our home fans here. I know our guys are really looking forward to playing here.
All right, Coach Cal. Thanks as always for your time this morning, and look forward to talking again next Monday.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rob.
All right,
Thank you.
Take care.
Yep.
Again, for media members on the line, if you have questions for any of the coaches here this morning, just use the chat feature or the raise your hand icon. We're now pleased to be joined on the call by the head coach at UAlbany, Jared Ambrose. Good morning, Jared.
Good morning.
Good morning. Certainly a tough one for you guys on Saturday, a 24-7